I never know how to start these videos. Anyway, I am midway through my November Read My Shelf Challenge, which is something that I do every year. In case you missed my previous video, this is where I make a special effort to not purchase any new books and also to read books that I physically have and have just remained unread on my shelf for sometimes a long time. In some cases, I've moved these books multiple times and still have not read them, which is not something that I like to do. So every November, I try to focus on books that I physically own or that I have just been meaning to get to and just never have, that I make little personal challenges for myself. So I have 5 this year, and I know that I'm not going to be able to accomplish all of this month, but I get most of my reading done between the mid to end of November and the new year. So I do think by the end of the year that I can read all of these books. It's just going to be kind of hectic for a couple weeks. The first challenge that I set for myself is to read at least one nonfiction book for my shelf. And I chose one that I recently picked up, which is Jack London's The People of the Abyss. This was in a recent haul, I think a couple months ago, and it is set in 1902 London, and it's his account of the slums in London around that time. And it contains, I think, pictures and statistics and a lot of just day-to-day life about impoverished people in London around that time. And I think it will be a good read, and I don't know why I haven't went ahead and finished it. I think it's even been in a couple of my weekend reads. I just haven't gotten to it. The other is one that is going to be a bit more of a challenge. I do want to go ahead and start it now. I found it at Brattle here in Boston, and I posted, I think, a picture of the haul that I had then on Twitter, and Steve showed interest in this as well. So I'm going to try to get through this so that I can give it to him. So I think it's a war book that he actually hasn't read yet, so I want to share. And that book is A World at Arms. It is a global history of World War II. I think this will be very good. It is a brick. I am not going to disillusion myself into thinking that I'm going to read this, plus all the other books that I have down at my feet in the 2 weeks that are remaining. I also have a couple buddy reads that I'm doing, which I'm really excited about. But these are just little challenges that I plan to get through by myself, or whoever's doing this with me, feel free to leave comments in this video or the previous video about your personal challenges and how you're doing on those. The second challenge that I set for myself is a book that's been on my shelf the longest. And for this, I have both my literal bookshelf, so a physical copy that I've owned for longer than I care to admit, and the second is my figurative bookshelf, so my TBR list for Goodreads. And no surprise here, this is another book that I've announced on a weekend read that I really want to get to, and then I get distracted because I'm like a squirrel and then don't read it. And that is Canticle for Leibowitz. I don't know why I don't pick this book up. I've actually tried to add it to my TBR multiple times, thinking, oh my god, that's something I would totally read, and then realizing that I actually put it on my TBR like 4 years ago. So now that I actually have a physical copy, I am going to try to get to this by the end of the year. The next book is the literal bookshelf book, and this is one that I picked up at a used bookstore, I think when I first moved to Connecticut, and I just can't get into it. I keep wanting to read it, and then I read the synopsis, and it has the same problem that most older science fiction and fantasy has for me, and it's just so dated. So I think that the story is very good. I hear a lot of really, really positive things about this book, and that is The Fountains of Paradise. So this is a classic science fiction, I believe, but it has a section in it where it talks about the towering fountains and beautiful maidens lounging in this ancient kingdom, and I just, for some reason, that rubs me the wrong way. So I think that the story will be good, and I will just have to set aside the fact that this is a very older book. I say it's much older. When was this actually published? Okay, so it says it was in the 70s, so it's not as old as I thought it was. But anyway, I'm going to try to get this read so that I can determine whether or not I want to keep this copy. I believe I picked it up because it is a prize winner, and that is one of the challenges that I personally set for myself when I first started forcing myself to read again. And if it is not, I will donate it or give it to someone who I think will enjoy it more. The next challenge that I set for myself was a book a friend would enjoy, and I picked this up. I actually don't even remember why I picked it up. I think someone had recommended it to me because it's a mixture of more popular fiction with World War related things, and that is The Narrow Road to the Deep North. This has won the Man Booker Prize and has also, I think, a couple other prizes, I'm not sure. But I hear people talk about this a lot, and I don't remember how I got this copy, which shows how long I've actually had it. And it is not necessarily something I would have picked up for myself, even though it does kind of stray into areas that I enjoy. I've had it for a while now, to the point where I don't remember where I actually got it from. And I do want to get this read because of the next book that I'm about to mention. A friend loaned me a book. As you all know, I don't loan books because I don't trust other people. And why I don't trust them is I don't trust myself either. I've had this book for about 4 months, and she brought it up a couple of days ago. So, do you still have that book? Yeah, I'm taking good care of it, but I keep meaning to read it. And then I don't. So I want to, when I return the next book that I'm going to mention, I think that she would really enjoy this book, so I'm going to gift this to her, which, you know, when someone gives you a romance novel, of course you give them something about World War I or World War II, so that's how it works in my life. The book that she had recommended and let me borrow, it wasn't as much let me borrow as she's like, you're going to read this, was Night Circus. And this gets a lot of praise here on BookTube. I think I'll enjoy it. I'm not really sure. I guess it has magic and fantasy elements, but it also evidently has a really strong romance element, and I'm not a big fan of that, so I've been putting it off. But when a friend recommends a book, you really have to at least give it a go. And I found some really good books that I would not have picked up for myself that way, so I do want to read this because I feel obligated to get this back to her, and I want to read A Narrow Road to the Deep North so that I can share that book with her if it turns out to be good. The last challenge I set for myself was the shortest book that I have not read yet, even though I own it. And this was a more recent find for me. I mentioned this as one of my Nobel Prize books, I think, for the category of literature. And of course, it's about war again, because that's the way I roll when I'm stressed, and I'm really stressed right now. So this one is One Day in the Life of Denisovich. Ivan Denisovich. I struggled with this name last time, so I'm just going to show you the cover. There it is. This is a really short book. It is 148 pages, and I was really excited when I found this. I think I found this the day that I posted that video, and I was really surprised. Oh, I can't believe this fell into my hands. This is like fate. But after that, I put it on my shelf and then forgot about it. So this is another book that I want to get to because I do think that I have friends that will enjoy this, and I want to gift it to them. That is my rather ambitious Read My Shelf Challenge to be read list, and I hope you liked this and maybe found something that you have not heard of or that you might be interested in picking up. You've likely already heard of all the books that I've mentioned because I keep saying I'm going to read them and then I don't. So I do hope that I will be able to give updates soon as to what I thought about all of these and what happened with the ones that I had planned to give to friends and what they ultimately thought about it, unless they do like I do and say, yeah, I'll read the book and then wait 4 months, which is what I did. But anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will chat with you very soon. Bye.